Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I was able to watch both of the first episodes of Ahsoka, and I'm going to say right away, I'm really happy with everything about the show. The pacing of it, the tone, and yes, it is essentially Rebels Season 5, and I just love everything about that. Let's just, I guess, just try to... honestly, I'm still like processing everything that happened. You know, there are so many little Easter eggs and little like names that were kind of, you know, put out there that I'm like, I know I missed some things. But just basically what's happening is there's a lot of rhyming with other things in Star Wars that we've seen before, right? Like, of course, George Lucas, it rhymes like poetry. Yeah. So right away, we're looking for a map. We're looking for a map for the location of Thrawn, and it's exactly like how the sequel trilogy started, which is kind of funny. But everyone's after this map, and it's supposed to lead us to Thrawn, and Ahsoka goes and finds it in this ancient-looking temple, and a lot of this footage was taken, you know, it's stuff that we saw in the trailer. Surprisingly, though, there is still some stuff we haven't seen. I was so sure that the trailers were only gonna like show us footage from these first 2 episodes, but no, I guess we've already seen little pieces of probably 3 and even 4, because there is still a lot of footage that we have not actually seen in episodes yet, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, just basically there was a map and everyone's after it, and Ahsoka finds it and Sabine unlocks it, and essentially what we've gathered here. And yes, there was a lot of rumors that were already going into this, so by the way, beware of spoilers and rumors and leaks and all that, because it's looking like a lot of that stuff is gonna come to fruition. So if you don't want to know anything, just, you know, obviously stay off of corners of the internet that have kind of been talking about this stuff for months now, because yeah, it's looking like a lot of that is true. But basically we learned that there is this neighboring galaxy that this map has a pathway to. And it's not entirely clear how this pathway is created, but we do see that Morgan Elsbeth still has some influence over her shipyards in Corellia, and they had this hyperdrive built into this giant ship, which I'm assuming they call it the Eye of Soul or something. And I'm assuming that this ship is what's going to let them travel to this other galaxy, right? Which, it's kind of funny to think about Star Wars, right? Because it's all taking place within this one singular galaxy, every single major event. And obviously at the beginning of every movie, we're like, in a galaxy far away. So, you know, when it's presented that way, it's like, okay, it does take place in our reality. And it's just that, you know, we're in one galaxy and they're in a completely separate galaxy. So it's just never really occurred to a lot of people to be like, okay, but they can also go to another galaxy, you know, like if they're you know, there's infinite seemingly galaxies out there, so there's no reason they couldn't just go to another galaxy. Maybe it's difficult to exit your galaxy. I don't know. I don't, something science fiction mumbo jumbo. I'm sure there's a reason why it's difficult to leave your galaxy and go to a completely different one, but obviously it is possible. Like, that is seemingly what the Purrgil did. And this map that they find was actually, interestingly enough, in a temple built by ancient Night Sisters of Dathomir. So they confirm that Morgan Elsbeth is a Night Sister from Dathomir. And then they bring the map to this other location, and they say, like, this location was not built by Jedi, it was built by an ancient people from a different galaxy. So at some point, people from a neighboring galaxy have already come over to the Star Wars galaxy and built this little shrine thing, and that's where they put the map, and they see like the location. You know, Morgan Elsbeth sees the location to that one. So we're already getting like crazy lore implications of, like, not only have there been neighboring galaxies, but some of them have already come over here, and obviously Ezra and Thrawn have already gone over there, and even on the map, when they like circle that galaxy, when they activate the map, it's got a bunch of Purrgil symbols all over it, like in a ring. So it's like, okay, yeah, the Purrgil do this. That's what they do. So yeah, very interesting to even think about that, like as a fan, like the implications and the possibilities that means. Like, you can do anything in this galaxy, and also obviously other galaxies, right? Like there's really just endless things that they can do, because we've had just like this one map of the Star Wars galaxy for so long, and then we had like the unknown regions where we've kind of dipped our toe in the unknown regions a little bit in canon, but now we're really just like the unknown regions, a completely different galaxy way out there, you know. So I don't know, a lot of stuff has happened in these 2 episodes, but that is like one of the big, like, okay, hold on, I just gotta absorb the fact that that's just a reality in canon now, that not only is there neighboring galaxies right there, but they can go there, and those people have been here. So already it's like, okay, lots of stuff happening there. Also, we get some answers to, I made a video talking about questions that I have. So yes, it does indeed seem that Sabine was being trained as a Jedi. Hu Yang does mention that her Force, her adept in the Force, however he phrases it, she's not so great with the Force. He talks about how, like, oh, of all the Padawans I've seen, your ability to use the Force is like way down there. So, I think they are trying to make it easier to digest for a lot of people, this idea that she can use the Force, just by saying, like, she's not very good at it. Maybe she has a really low midi-chlorian count, but it is maybe just barely, but enough to, be able to do it, right? So I'm sure with enough attempts, she's gonna eventually use the Force in this show. She's gonna, like, push something, right? So there you go. There's the answer. Yes, she's being trained as a Jedi. It's not just being trained to use the lightsaber. She's, you know what I mean? Like, they're making it pretty clear what's happening here. So there's that. And at some point, Ahsoka just kind of stopped training her. It's, I guess because Sabine was stubborn, or, they don't make it entirely clear exactly what caused this big rift, but there was some kind of big rift off screen, and they kind of went their separate ways. And now Sabine wants to continue, but also kind of doesn't. But then Ahsoka doesn't want to take her back, but also kind of does. And they have to kind of just get over themselves, and they're both real stubborn. And that's the thing they keep on pointing out. Like, Hera's like, you guys are kind of like the same, right? Like, you guys are just so, you're all real prideful, and you don't think this person's ready, and this person doesn't know if they even want to do it, but you kind of do, and you kind of want to. So just become master and apprentice. And by the end of these 2 episodes, we've gotten back to that point, like, all right, she's admitted that she's ready to start training again, and they're gonna do this. So there you go. We're gonna now, moving forward, I'm sure we're gonna see sequences of her, trying to use the Force, and doing the whole Jedi training thing. So in a way, we get to see her training, to be a Jedi. She's not like starting this show already being able to do it, because her training was just never finished. Maybe it only went on for like 6 months, who knows. So there is that. And then just really, that's like the plot so far, is that the bad guys now have this map because they stole it from Sabine, and they are building this ship trying to get to the other galaxy and free Thrawn. And of course, Hera's like, well, first, if Thrawn's alive, that means Ezra could be alive, but also Thrawn coming back, we're already seeing, even on Corellia, like, there are people, just your normal citizens, some of them are still very much in support of the Empire, and even kind of the weaselly manager guy on Corellia was like, hey, an empire doesn't become a republic overnight, right? Like, a lot of these people don't even care. But of course, he turns out to kind of be one of the bad guys. So I don't know how much you trust his words, but he's probably right. It's like, your average citizen just wants to get up in the morning, do their job, get paid, and go home, right? Like, as far as what kind of government they're serving in the whole galaxy that they're in, they don't have any control over that, right? Like it's not like they voted to become well, I guess the senators did, but not them. Not the normal citizens didn't vote to become an empire. but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, we're already seeing how like if Thrawn comes back, you can definitely see how like suddenly a lot of people, like all these workers here on Corellia, would be like, hey, yeah, let's go support this guy. He can act, you know, the idea of the Empire coming back is suddenly much more of a reality if Thrawn's around. So they're trying to prevent another war, which I imagine, I'm assuming that they're going to end up failing at. You know, they're essentially going to fail to stop Thrawn from coming back to this galaxy, and I would make the assumption that that's essentially what Dave Filoni's movie is going to be all about. You know, Dave Filoni makes a movie where Thrawn's back, and now we're at war with the Empire again, or at least this resurgence of the Empire. And maybe by the end of that movie is when you would kind of have, you know, kind of just hint at like, oh yeah, but the First Order is still doing stuff out there. You know, it's not entirely gone, kind of thing. You know, who knows how that's all going to end tying together. But yeah, I very much think that this show, you know, like everyone suspects, it's very much like a setup for the movie. So they're going to fail in their job here. I'm pretty certain of that. And yeah, also, so we do have this Inquisitor who's still masked. They call him Merrick, and you know, look, I don't blame people for wanting to treat the Inquisitor Merrick as some kind of like big mystery waiting to be revealed, right? Like, he's wearing a mask. Okay, I get it. My thing is, I don't think he's gonna end up being anybody. He's not Ezra, right? Like I once, like, you know, entertained that thought, but I don't think that anymore. Like, all of this thing about like having to go to an entirely different galaxy to find Thrawn, like, it wouldn't make any sense for Ezra to just be here, you know? Like, it just, like story wise, that makes no sense, right? So Ezra is still way out there. He's probably being held prisoner somewhere. This Merrick guy, I think he's just a leftover Inquisitor. You know, I think he's just one that somehow didn't die. And you of course have these two other Jedi who, you know, Balin. I'm gonna try to remember all their. It's Balin and Hati. Yeah, I think that's their name. Anyways, Balin, of course, Order 66 survivor. Huyang confirms that because he recognizes his lightsaber. Because remember, Huyang has everyone's lightsaber in his database, right? Because he's that old. He's like from the beginning of the Jedi. And yeah, just we don't see him fight yet, except for like when he's, you know, freeing Morgan Elsbeth, but we do see Hati fight. And you know, this is definitely gonna be the obvious parallels where like, okay, so she fights Sabine, the apprentices fight each other, and then Balin and Ahsoka fight each other. So you got apprentices and masters matching up and fighting. So you know, we're gonna see how that goes. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now. We have not seen Zeb. We haven't seen what's his name? Jason Syndulla, right? Like, we haven't seen him. Although there's been like a Lego thing that was leaked a while ago, so he's in the show at some point. I don't know how much of a prominent thing he's gonna, you know, part he's gonna play. He hasn't been mentioned at all, I don't think. So he's just gonna show up one of these episodes and like, oh yeah, there's my son. That's right, I forgot about him. Because he just was not mentioned at all. What else? Oh, Lothal, they did get Clancy Brown back to actually play the character he voices in the animated show. Is it Governor Riker? I think that's his name. But yeah, I'm glad they got him to play that part, because it literally just looks like him. The animated character it's just him. It's just Clancy Brown, so that's cool. And yeah, I think there were a couple other Easter eggs that honestly I'm gonna have to wait for, like those breakdown videos who, like, you know, take all the notes. But yeah, just it feels like we made a lot of progress, and I'm glad that they released both of these episodes at the same time, because now I feel like going into next week, we're not gonna be kind of waiting on this, like, okay, are Ahsoka and Sabine kind of are they gonna get over themselves and get back together to the Jedi training? It's like, okay, we wrapped that up in these first two episodes. You know, we kind of established where Sabine is force wise, you know, like she can do it, but she's just not very good, because she never finished her training, or maybe, you know, I doubt that they're ever gonna go into the actual midi-chlorian count, right? They're not gonna like give her a number or something, but I'm sure they will just kind of like Hu Yang said, they're gonna be like, yeah, but you know, you're like the lowest of the low force wise, right? Like I'm sure, you know, she can fight fine, but you know, can she levitate a pencil? I don't know, I doubt it. You know, like, so she's gonna have to really work on that. That's like her big weak spot right now. Oh, also, and I've already seen people complain about this, and it's kind of hilarious at this point, but okay, let's just go into this. So Sabine has the map, she unlocks it, right? And the bad guys show up. It's Hati and a couple of assassin droids, and she gets stabbed by Hati, kind of off to the side, but in the stomach area, just like to the side, really. So she gets stabbed, and and then like the next day or two, you know, I think like a couple days passed, but she's, you know, she's in the med bay and she's got like a Bacta patch thing on her stomach, and you know, like, so she's being healed with Bacta like you do, and she's got like this big scar where the stab wound was, right? And now by the end of the second episode, she's back in her armor and she's ready to go, you know. I've already seen people complain because they think like, oh, this is just like Reva surviving again, right? And you know, I think a lot of it has to do with Qui-Gon, because people are like, well, Qui-Gon got stabbed and he died, and then other people are like, well, Darth Maul got chopped in half and he lived, so what are the rules, right? Here's my thing about all of this. Let me just address all of the instances of stabbing right now. Okay, here we go. Number one, when Qui-Gon got stabbed by Darth Maul, first you could say, sure, maybe it was more in the center, maybe it was a little bit higher up, whatever, right? Regardless of all of that, when Qui-Gon got stabbed, immediately after that, Obi-Wan has to then have an extended fight sequence with Darth Maul before Qui-Gon can even be attended to. Okay, so you have to imagine at least like 15 to 20 minutes just passing by with Qui-Gon on the floor with a hole in him, right? And even after that, Qui-Gon is still alive enough to have like his final words with Obi-Wan. So if Obi-Wan did not have to have that whole fight with Darth Maul on his own, and he was able to immediately get some help for Qui-Gon, sure, I think Qui-Gon definitely could have lived, but Qui-Gon was sitting there on the floor while Obi-Wan and Maul had to go do their fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I totally buy that. Reva, on the other hand, with her dark side hate, and also, yes, there was a Bacta tank that Obi-Wan had used earlier in that same base, and Sabine here getting stabbed. Ahsoka had just landed her ship. I totally buy Ahsoka got her on the ship and flew her to a med bay immediately. So yeah, in all these other instances, people can get stabbed and live. Which, by the way, guys, I don't know if you know this. Okay, I don't know if you're aware of this. Number one, lightsabers cauterize wounds, so you're not really bleeding out. So really, it's all depending on where the hole was made. If the hole was made in the right spot, you're not bleeding out. It's obviously, you know, it's gonna get hurt and you'll probably die if it's not treated. But you know what I mean? Like the idea of like, oh, I'm slowly bleeding out. It's like, no, you'll be fine. I mean, it's all burnt. But also, okay, people get stabbed in real life all the time and live. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Like people are kind of treating this like it's this impossible thing. Like you get stabbed and you die. And I don't know if that's because we kind of see that a lot in slasher movies or something, or that's just like a common way for characters to die in movies and shows and stuff. But in real life, yeah, people get stabbed all the time, multiple times, and live. Like it's definitely possible, you know. So I don't know. It feels like a weird thing to complain about, because here's my thing. Here's your options with a lightsaber, right? You have a lightsaber fight happening between two characters, and you want to have one character lose that fight, but you don't want them to die because you just want to show that they're not ready to fight this person yet, right? Like they have training to do, they have to get better. So okay, you can't kill them, but you need them to lose. So you need something to happen, and then the other person just couldn't finish the job. They couldn't kill them because they had to run away real quick, right? So yeah, a stabbing is what you do, right? That, or you have to chop off an arm, you know, but then that's making like a pretty permanent decision with that character, that like they have like an Anakin robot arm. And honestly, that was a thing that was kind of, you know, being overused for a while in Star Wars, and so now we started doing stabbings instead of chopping off limbs, right? So those are really your only two options. Either someone has to lose a limb, or you get stabbed. And a stab, it seems like a thing that with enough Bacta and enough immediacy, you could more easily overcome than like, oh, they lost a hand. All right, well, hold on, I gotta someone give me a robot hand, you know, like I guess Luke could get it done real quick, but I don't know. So I've already seen people complain about getting stabbed, but they're fighting with laser swords. Like, you know, like something has to happen. You either get stabbed or you lose a limb. Like otherwise, you know, like I don't know. I don't get it, guys. I don't get it. People are being silly, and you know, whatever. But yeah, in any case, I'm really happy with this show. It definitely it feels like Rebel Season 5, but also, you know, like I said, this feels like it is moving not just like its own plot along, and not even just you know, heading towards the Dave Filoni movie, but also by introducing things, you know, like this whole other galaxy out there, and the fact that, you know, the witches of Dathomir were not just on Dathomir. They had like other temples on other places, and, you know, who knows how old they really are. Who knows how many, you know, did they come from the other galaxy? I don't know. And what were the people that built the map temple thing? She said that those were ancient people from another galaxy, you know. So like, it's not just that it's leading up to the next Dave Filoni Star Wars movie, but also like it is actually expanding the lore here, and that feels like a big chunk of lore that was just like kind of dropped here in the Star Wars universe, because now we have at least two, but also if you looked at the map, there's many other galaxies out there, but at least these two are gonna matter now, right? Like, we're gonna visit that other galaxy, and, you know, not even just in this show, but like in books and comics and other stories other people will make in the future. Now they have that other sandbox, that other playground of like, what does that other galaxy look like? Does that other galaxy have its own functioning government? Does it have its own evil empire, or is it maybe it's a good government? Does it have its own equivalent of Sith users out there? Who knows, right? Like, they could have anything out there. It's an entirely different playground, and you just kind of open that up, you know. And so that's like why it's so exciting for me. It's like, it's not even just the context of the show, but it's like what other writers will use that for in the future. You know what I mean? Like, you can go back to the really old Republic and you can be like, oh yeah, way back in the old Republic, we knew about that other galaxy. We were talking to those guys, and we just kind of lost our communication at some point, and that's why we don't talk to them so much anymore, you know. But even Balin was talking about how, like, oh yeah, the Jedi younglings, it was like a fairy tale. We kind of knew, what did he call it? Paradia, I think he called it. So just, I'm just saying, like, that is like a gold mine of potential, completely untapped, brand new potential in an entirely new Star Wars galaxy. That's crazy. So yeah, just thinking about that just kind of has me spinning as a fan, like, whoa, hold on. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really happy with this show so far. Some people are complaining about it being slow paced, but I think it's actually very purposeful. You know, it feels very well planned out. It doesn't feel like sometimes when you're watching the Mandalorian seasons, sometimes you'll have a whole episode doing essentially a side quest, doing something else, and those can be fun, but those episodes often leave you wondering, like, so what you know, what is the plot of this season? You know, and usually the Mandalorian doesn't really get to its main plot until the last couple of episodes, whereas this one, it's just like, we are on the main quest. We're doing the main quest here. This is a very important main quest because it's going to lead to other main quests. So we're not out here doing like crazy little side things. We're not going to have an episode where we're just kind of messing around on this planet and have to go get a thing for some person we just met. It's like, no, this is all like the, you know what I mean? Like, we're following the main plot line that's happening, and it's, I don't know, it's really exciting. It feels different than the other Star Wars shows already. I'm really happy. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all this. Does it bother you that Sabine got stabbed? Which, again, it's so weird that is bothering so many people. It's like, yeah, Qui-Gon died. He was sitting there on the floor for like 20 minutes while they were fighting. You know, can you imagine him just like laying there with a hole in him, going like, man, they're fighting for a while. Oh, now Obi-Wan's hanging down that pit. Oh, he just did a cool flip. I'm still laying here dying. You know, like Qui-Gon was just dying that whole time. He very much did not get immediate help. Anyways, okay, done with that. Let me know what you guys think about these first 2 episodes. Let me know where you see this going. Have you already read the leaks? Are you avoiding the leaks like the plague? Because again, those kind of seem like it's all gonna be true. Yeah, let me know what you think about the potential of a whole new Star Wars galaxy, because to me that's like the most exciting thing. Is just like the imagination can run wild with, like, it's just a neighboring galaxy. It's right there, you know, they showed it, and the Purgle can get you there, so that's crazy. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.